to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. This is episode number 121. And this is a week in which, again, my playtime in the Warzone was limited. But that said, we had a reloading of the seasons, as it were. That was Season 2 Reloaded going live this past week. We previewed some of what was arriving with that, but a lot more was revealed before our eyes as it went live on this past Tuesday. I got in, as I said, a few games. I think one of the biggest updates, though, didn't arrive till right after that time, but not sure. Either way, how about you, Cowboy? How was your week this week in the newly reloaded Warzone?
Well, thank you. Yeah, to be honest, I forgot about it until Wednesday when it said restart app because of update or update required or whatever that damn little box that pops up is. And yeah, I was thinking about how back in the day when there was these updates and mid-season changes and shit like that, it was like fucking Christmas, right? Where we'd be like, oh my God, there was an update. And, this week I kind of forgot about it and then didn't really even notice any changes, to be honest. So that's where I'm at. But had a good week played some more ranked, played some Resurgence, played a couple big map games. Yeah, it was, steady as it goes for me. What about you? How was your week in the Warzone?
Yeah, as I said, I think I played a total of 2 games, one of which we got wiped very quickly. Both of which games I believe I led our team in kills, though. No big deal. That said, it's a fair point. Back when there were big season launches or season refreshes, they would hype them up. I mean, what I'm realizing now is we haven't had cutscenes accommodate these seasons a la the previous Warzone, which in terms of our content and like one of our main avenues of discussion, we've kind of been robbed of that, the cinematic thing. But I guess they listen to this show, they take notes, they take our lead, and we clearly made it like evident last time that your writing team just wasn't cutting it. So I'm guessing they probably fired their entire writing staff, basically at our behest. And now we don't have that, but that's an aside. Just now kind of dawned on me that, wow, they haven't even been giving us that shit. And this, in terms of a season refresh, I mean, I don't even remember what arrived with Season 1 Reloaded. I know it was definitely a letdown because we were supposed to get stats and then we didn't. But Season 2 Reloading, I don't even know if I would call it reloading. It was just kind of like turning the pillow over, but it wasn't even that cold on the other side. Like, it's like, okay, this is a little nicer. There's some improvements here, but all in all, as you said, kind of still the same old song and dance.
Yep. I think that there were some weapon changes. I think there were a couple of small updates that we'll talk about that I think were good. But I didn't notice anything. Yeah, I guess it just felt like a little bit of an update, I don't know what else to say. I didn't change my loadouts and get all my shit together, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And speaking of small updates, and touching on something you mentioned before, the update requires reset little prompt. Apparently, as part of this new update, that is now going to be gone. So now when there's updates, the game will just fucking reboot itself. So, big
Great.
time.
Amazing. Cool.
But yeah, let's dive into these patch notes, kind of go through the high level, the low level, the mid level shit going on with Season 2 Reloaded of Warzone 2. Let me find the right tab here. Yes, indeed. So first off, there's a new Path of the Ronin. There's a St. Patrick's Day event, which we will talk about in a little bit. But yes, there's a brand new weapon. We previewed it. It's the Tempest Torrent. It's a marksman rifle. They used a word that might be a trigger word in the Warzone community, especially among amateurs. They say this hard-hitting DMR from the Tempest armament offers the versatility of the M4 platform and the velocity and impact of 7.62 rounds. A patient hand and a keen eye will result in on-target shots and quick kills. As we said, it can be acquired by getting, I believe it was, 25 double kills with a marksman rifle. I know our friend of the pod, Sparks, got his hand on it. I did not. Any thoughts or experience with the brand new Tempest Torrent that came out?
No, I didn't get it or play with it. I didn't unlock it, obviously, because I didn't get 25 double kills with a marksman rifle. But yeah, I don't. I'm assuming it's like a quick fire marksman rifle, like the DMR. I wonder how many shots till down. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, from what I've seen in the community, I don't think it's taken things over. It's not, it says DMR, but it's definitely not like the dominant DMR. But I think it's viable. I've seen it. It's pretty low recoil, and you can rat-a-tat-tat off those shots. So I'm curious to see how things go. But as of now, I'm glad it's not just like a brand new overpowered thing. They just were like, hey, by the way, here's a fucking new toy for you idiots. So I respect that.
Yeah, I agree. These things usually come out and just take over. You know what I mean? So no, that's great.
And alongside that, there was some weapons balancing, which, as we've said, we've been in sore need of. But unfortunately, what we've seen before, kind of the case again here, where the tippy top meta was touched to some degree, but ignored in other ways. Specifically, the ISO Hemlock, kind of the de facto dominant AR in the game, was not touched with this weapons tuning update. That said, the de facto short range kings, the shotgun and the Lockman sub, both received nerfs. But let's just go through it. The STB had a buff. The RAL had a nerf. The RPK had another slight nerf. The Sakin had a nerf, reducing its damage range. The crossbow increased. It had a weird kind of nerf where it says increased time period to trigger double kills. Submachine guns. The MX9 had a buff. The Boz P had a buff. The PDSW just had an adjustment with its iron sights. The Vel had a buff, and the Lockman sub had a nerf. And the most of all, the KV broadside, the doof, the fire breath, the fucking bane of everyone's existence for the last several weeks, finally got a nerf, including the Dragon's Breath ammo. However, the Bryson 800 and 890 both were buffed slightly.
Yeah, I've been hearing that the Vel is still is now a pretty legit option. And also the MP7 I've heard. The MP7 wasn't on that list, was it?
The MP7 is the Vel.
Oh, it is? Oh, why would they do that to us?
Yeah, that was that girl you knew last summer back in Jamaica on vacation. She changed her name and dyed her hair, but it's the same old gal.
Jamaica, wow. Yeah, so I've heard the MP7 Vel is really good. I think that might be new short-range meta. Personally, I was watching some clips on Twitter, and it looks pretty tasty.
Well, according to the old reliable Warzone loadout, who, unlike the Cowboy, loves to rank, his absolute meta as it stands is the ISO Hemlock, is the long-range de facto singular meta, the Vaznev, and the Lockman sub. He still has it on the list. The Vel is in the meta Warzone category, but like you said, I've seen it a lot in gameplay, which is like, to me, that's the meta. That's the proof in the pudding, is seeing it out in the wild.
Have I seen it out in the wild? I have not.
No. I'm saying I've seen a lot of players and clips with the Vel lately, so I think you're onto something there. I definitely think it's a viable option there now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't used it. I don't think I've been killed with it. But I think it's on the way. It's on its way.
That said, in addition to weapons tuning, there was some global adjustments across the board, which it's yet to be seen, I feel like, how they're playing out or if they're really making much of a difference. So flinch, they reduced the recenter speed for flinch, so I guess it's kind of making flinch a little more dramatic. perhaps motivating people to use, anti-flinch attachments a little more. And there were minor increases to flinch on ARs, SMGs, LMGs, and shotguns. Additionally, hollow point rounds were buffed. They removed the bullet velocity penalty. Frangible rounds were buffed. Overpressurized rounds were buffed. Dragon's Breath was nerfed. And 12 gauge slugs and HE slugs were buffed. And then underbarrel launchers, which I almost forget those exist.
Oh, I did until you just mentioned it.
But to do history lesson for the old cowboy here, lore of Call of Duty, the original Modern Warfare, the absolute meta back then it was called noob tubing, and it was where you would equip a grenade launcher underbarrel on your AR, and I think it was a one-hit kill, and you would just launch those fucking things all over the map and just wreak havoc. So anyways, but you haven't seen those for fucking decades. I think actually when I played Warzone 1, when I was first in it, season 1, I ran one of these fucking noob tubes, I feel like. But anyways, they buffed those. They removed a movement penalty for the underbarrel grenade launcher. They added recoil control bonus for the grenade and shotgun underbarrels, and they added one extra ammunition stock to grenade launchers. So they want to maybe get those a little more in vogue. It's kind of wild to think about. You could make your AR into a shotgun. There's an underbarrel attachment where you can switch basically to have a shotgun AR in one.
Interesting. I've completely forgot that underbarrel launchers exist. I don't ever use them. And I feel like even grenade launchers aren't very effective. You know, they're on maps. They're called the RL80 or whatever. I've used them, but I don't recall it being ever super, super effective. You would never roll with a grenade launcher style things. The idea of an underbarrel launcher, I don't know. I mean, it seems irrelevant, but if they gave them a buff, cool.
I kind of like it.
I mean, I like the idea of it. It just hasn't been, implemented.
Because to me, that could be a really interesting trade-off, is if you make it viable enough to where, okay, I'm going to do this, but then it kind of fucks your gun in terms of maybe long range or recoil. There's obviously this trade-off, but you get the advantage if you have this really powerful option you can switch to. I don't know. So it's interesting that they're paying attention. They mixed that up. And then stocks, they basically no stock modifications. They reduced the flinch that you would get when you'd run those. Bipods were buffed. Underbarrel grips were nerfed a little bit, or no, buffed. Muzzle, the breachers, the flash hiders, they all got kind of buffed. They kind of been messing with attachments here, I think, to shake things up as opposed to just messing with guns. But again, it's yet to see if these are dramatic enough to shake out the meta. And that's pretty much it. And then finally, lethals. Frag grenades were buffed, claymores were buffed, and semtexes were buffed.
I am happy to hear semtexes were buffed because I love the semtex. It's a staple of my arsenal. You know what I mean? And I feel like for so long they've been irrelevant. And let's bring them back. Let's make the semtex great again.
And I'm not sure if during the weapons tuning I mentioned, but the Sakin, I think I did maybe mention, already had its damage range nerfed. So that's kind of why I think it's been, stepped down a little bit, but still also very viable. And then finally, they made an accessibility change, which could be nice. Is, when you get flashed in this game, your screen goes bright white, you light up the fucking room, you blind yourself a little bit. There's now an option if you would prefer not to have that. So when you get flashed, there's an option to go black now instead. So your player kind of blacks out instead of whites out.
Yeah, so is that just a switch you make? You can change it from a white to a black?
Yeah, it's in your accessibility settings.
Yeah.
It's for, meant to help people that might need that type of thing too. So again, cool. Like I said, it's a pretty... They didn't wax the car. They just kind of washed it off with the hose a little bit.
Well, whatever.
And then finally, which I'm curious to get your thoughts on, was they rolled out all these audio changes, which they had teased. This said submix fixes were affecting enemy footstep volume. They improved Sand's footstep, fixed an issue with war tracks, and that's about it. Did you notice any improvement with footsteps in Warzone specifically?
Any improvements from Warzone specifically?
Audio, footsteps.
Yeah.
Audio.
Sorry, I heard that. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. No. I guess I'm gonna say no. I didn't notice it. Not to say that it wasn't there, but it didn't seem all that different to me. What about you in your 2 games this week?
I should have paid more attention. I don't think I was indoors much though, which I feel like that's where you'll really notice it. But I feel like I got to play like a Al Mazrah match or 2 to really gauge that. So you out in the community, we want to hear from you. Have you noticed an improvement with footsteps audio? Where are we at with that, or is it just all dog shit? But finally, a final update, which we've said for a while now that they listen to this podcast. It's evident. If it's ever been more clear, it's like we're issuing these decrees and we're issuing these, calls, and we're getting calls right back. And what did we talk about? Literally, like the last 2 weeks is frustration over looting, specifically plates. Like we said, if there's room, just give me the plates. Well, guess what? Armor plate pickup, part of the patch, Season 2 Reloaded. If you have space in your inventory, you will now auto pick up armor plates when you walk over them.
Love it. Unfortunately, it still doesn't work sometimes, but I'm loving it.
Well, amazing. Thank you, whoever you were, Raven, or whatever your name is, sir or madam, who's been taking notes copiously each week, giving them to your bosses, circulating them among the community, escalating things on the Trello board to make this happen.
Yeah. This should have happened I don't know, 3 months ago. Yeah.
That's okay, though. It's okay. And then in addition to this, I don't know if you noticed, but since Season 2, I believe, went live, there's like a new text when you break someone's armor. It says like on screen, armor break. It's like, thanks. It's fucking distracting because it almost like you feel like now you get 2 things when you down someone. You're expecting just to see the down thing. So anyways, they got rid of that. The armor break text has been removed, but the icon is still there. So thanks for nothing. Kind of again what we said, like the dad running over the dog. Cool, it's fixed now. Great. Didn't have to fucking add that. So that's really it. But then this past week, we had a holiday here in the U.S., kind of more informal one, I feel like. That's St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. As part of it, they gave us a little, I don't know if it's still going on, a limited time event special thing for the day itself where they added a rainbow in-game, essentially. And if you go to the end of the rainbow on the map, you would find a grip of crates, but specifically among them, you would find a special sniper rifle, which indeed had one-shot ability. This was not a glitch. This was on purpose. They basically stated it. So it's going on. I don't think, did you have a chance to wield the one-shot sniper, Cowboy, first off, I guess?
So I did not get a chance to find the rainbow, for the record. I tried. I think I don't know if you know this, was it on Rebirth or was it just on the big map?
So I saw a clip where it showed a player like finding it on a Sheikah, but I don't know. I can't confirm or disconfirm. It could have been some weird, fucking weird shit.
Yeah, because I don't think I hopped on the big map trying to find it, and we didn't see it on Rebirth. That's for sure. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't find it. But what exactly was at the end of the rainbow? Just a bunch of loot and shit?
On the clip I saw, it was a bunch of crates, but then, yeah, this special sniper, it's like a gold. I think it was a
one-shot
Victus,
sniper.
maybe not. But yeah, the streamers have been getting their hands on it, which, okay, it just opens up a whole can of worms here because it's like, from the get-go, they don't want one-shot snipers. They don't want them. Everyone's asking for them. No, they're holding tight. Oh, look, there's a one-shot sniper with the incendiary rounds. Oh, wait, actually, that was a glitch. We don't want one-shot snipers. Don't get your fucking hopes up. Then out of the nowhere, not the nowhere, but out of nowhere, they do this event and it's like, one-shot sniper. There's one of them. Go get it. Ha 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 ha. Like, what are we fucking doing here? And before you answer me, there was another leak that happened this week, or not leak, but Joe Woe, I believe it was. He claims that one-shot snipers and a movement buff are both arriving next season, season 3. So it's like, I'm just so fucking confused by this type of thing. You know what I mean?
No, what do you mean this kind of thing? Like just them
like why not just give us one-shot snipers? What's with this weird like going back and forth and then like drip feeding us this shit? Like it's part of this one-time event. Like just give it to us if you want to fucking do that. Why? I don't know. It's just fucking weird to me, dude.
Yeah. I guess the question is what is the goal? You know?
Exactly.
What is the goal? Is it to get more people to play the game? Is it to appease the sweats and the streamers? What are your goals? And you know what? I've said it before and I'll say it again. The answer to all your questions is money. So whatever these decisions are, they believe are financially beneficial for the powers that be. So I would imagine that it has to do with more people playing the game. But I don't understand how, I guess if you think about it, and now I'm just spitballing here.
Just riffing.
But, like the highest usage of this game came during Warzone 1 during the pandemic, obviously, when like everyone and their brother was playing the game. And at that point, a lot of what they're reverting back to was the status quo. And maybe that these bubblegum chewing suits are fucking over there saying, hey, let's do what we did and when we know it worked, even though they're fucking idiots. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what's going on here is they're saying, well, this worked really well. We had higher viewership or higher retention. People were playing more back then. Let's go back to that, right? So they're trying to go back. But what doesn't add up, and that's in regards to like the movement and like all the things the community is crying for. But what the difference is that they're still reluctant for one-shot snipers, which is interesting. Why? I don't know. I don't understand. Like everyone wants this.
Yeah, I don't know that this strategy, it doesn't make sense, and B, is it really, like, I think if you want an influx of players and increase that, as part of the Reloaded, it's like, guess what? We're fucking turning our backs on this. We are officially going live with one-shot snipers. It's going to start out as part of this St. Patrick's Day, and then we're going to roll out the full thing and everyone can enjoy it. Like, get back to Warzone, as opposed to like, really? Do you think some random John that quit the game because they don't have one-shot snipers is going to hear, hey, dude, guess what? They have a one-shot sniper. Oh, really? They brought it back? Yeah, it's just part of this like fucking St. Patrick's Day thing. You got to go in the game and then you got to find a fucking rainbow, which everybody's now going for the fucking thing. And then you get the one sniper on the map. Like, and again, it's like, did they get rid of it for balancing? But now they bring it back as like only one guy on the fucking map has this godlike capability. It's like so many mixed signals and like conflicting circuitry and shit in my mind.
Yeah, I wonder, we don't really follow like the who is working there and like the ins and outs of like the business, but it just feels like we assume there's like this steady hand behind it, but it sounds like there's like fucking turnover and shit happening that we don't know about because they you know what I'm saying? Like we will never know until we know what the hell's going on, Because it seems like there's too much weird like directional shit where like they go one direction, they turn, go another direction. It's like, who fucking is guiding this ship,
Yeah, there's a distinct lack of direction, and I think that might be the explanation behind the scenes, is there's just been a lot of turnover. There's been a lot of VPs getting axed. I mean, we've seen it all across like the tech industry and the gaming industry. Like, 343 who did Halo, they fucking laid off tons of people this year. I know the QA people all kind of have been fucked with, but they don't really make decisions in terms of like thought leadership. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they could get more Frankenstein and like collage piecing it together than they did with Warzone 1, but somehow they've achieved it. And they explicitly said when Warzone 2 was coming out that like they were going to avoid that they learned all these lessons from Warzone 1 and they're going to have a vision. And it seems like they did kind of come up with a vision, but I don't know who the fuck influenced that. It's way based on AI and like all these things that are very controversial in the community. And they stuck with that for like the first season and a half. And now they're kind of totally pivoting because the second part of that rumor we talked about with the one-shot snipers, as I said, a movement buff is coming, which I guess that would be cool, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
You think a movement buff would be cool?
I don't know if it would affect much. Like, I think people would be stoked for it because the community's convinced themselves that's what they want, but I don't think it would fundamentally change this game that much. So, like, to me, it's like if people are into it, cool, but whatever. Yeah, but whatever. Like, the game is kind of where the game is the game. Like, maybe adding one-shot snipers, I think that could be a big change. But beyond that, I don't really know how you fundamentally, I guess the TTK, if they go like an Iron Trials route, but they still haven't even done any of that. So, again, it's really hard to predict, like you said, who's the captain of the ship? Where are we headed? What's going to be the next detour, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you think? What do you think?
I mean, for a battle royale, I feel like it's so important to have that direction, like to make these decisions and stick to them so that you grow the player base and they come to like and like know what the game is about. They'll seek out your experience, but if it's like so vague and muddled and inconsistent and back and forth, it becomes like it's like a jack of all trades, master of none. Like, no, you're not really appealing to anyone. You know what I mean? Like, it's like in the movies, like the controversial movies get a lot of reactions, but the directors, like, they made conscious fucking decisions, like dislike them or like them, you know, it was a decision. Whereas like you see a shitty movie that just is kind of like, nah, like they played it safe or when, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know, man. I'm these deep thoughts, I just want to play the game and try to enjoy it, you know? At this point, I'm just trying to have some fun, you know?
I do too. And I got a birthday coming up this week, so I might be able to leverage that, you know, into some time to play this video game a little bit. Because I've been sorely missing from the zone. That said, I did play one game on my TV away from my monitor, and I don't want to sound like a sweatlord elitist, but I don't think I could ever go back to playing this game on a TV from a couch. Like, it was frightening. I felt like I was like fucking controlling a robotic car from the top of a skyscraper. Like, I just felt so far from the action, man.
Wow, must be nice. Must be nice to be that dialed in with your fucking monitor. And
it ain't a fucking Cronus.
How did does the Cronus still work with the TV?
Oh, yeah, it works great, all right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Speaking of, though, the lobbies, I'd imagine for you, still been extremely sweaty, right? Still crazy. Yeah, one thing, though, that had dawned on us weeks back when we were in the midst of some of the sweatiest lobbies ever was like, hey, we still have the option to turn off crossplay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you amateurs on console are out there, but I tried it, and I was able to get in a few games, and it was noticeably less sweaty.
Good to know.
So, amateur tip out there, give that a try. The only thing is, like, when I went to different team sizes, I think we were in duos doing it. We tried it in trios, tried it in quads. We could not find a lobby. We sat there for probably 4 or 5 minutes each time. Finally gave up. So that's the only caveat. But again, we got that card up our sleeve. So don't be afraid to lay it down on the table. Try that one out if you've been struggling.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that this week, I think, big time.
But finally, that, I think, is really going to do it for us this week on the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. We had some changes, some minor, folding of the dough. We'll see what shape it takes as it continues to rise. We will see if one-shot snipers are now a thing that's coming and what the fuck's going on. Probably won't get any questions answered because that's just not going to ever happen. But we're going to keep trying to play this game, keep trying to have fun, and we're going to keep bringing you this podcast. So with that said, any final thoughts, Cowboy?
Nope. I'm just going to try to enjoy myself this week and not get mad. Too mad.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. We'll report back when we talk to y'all next week. And until then,
Good luck in the gulag.